Hi, my name is Dr. Elizabeth Eversull, and in today's video, I want to talk a little bit with you about fatigue. What I'm seeing is that probably 3 out of 4 people now that come to clinic as new patients have at least a complaint of fatigue, and this includes even younger people than I've ever had, people that are in their 20s, even early 20s, complaining of fatigue, not just chronic fatigue, which we deal with, and that's a whole different subject, but just baseline, I have lost my mojo. I don't feel like working out. I want to sit on my sofa. I want to eat chips, and no one needs to stop me. That kind of feeling, or the baby cries and you would rather have your toes sawn off than go deal with that baby. Although you love them, no big deal. But it's that kind of feeling, like snooze alarm, snooze, 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 and so forth. So I just wanted to give you some ideas about ways that you might not have thought of to help with this. So many people now are on different amphetamines and Adderall and all these different sorts of medications, and that's understandable, not only for mood sort of issues or attention, but just to kind of get that mojo up so you can feel like you can make it through the day. So no judgment on that, but I feel like there's a reason that we have had such an explosion of this complaint. One reason, and one thing I like to help people take notice of and start to kind of deal with, is electromagnetic frequency, electromagnetic radiation. This means radiation coming from your cell phone, your Wi-Fi, dirty electricity in the walls, meaning the voltage is way too high in the wiring. So all of these things can act collectively to mess with your brain. We are electrical beings. And so when you have this sort of radiation going on, it is much more difficult to detox. It's much easier to have chronic low-grade infection, and it's more difficult to just generate energy. So that's one thing that we help people with very specific advice to control their environment as much as they can to reduce that. Simple. But imagine 35 and 40 years ago, we didn't have the Wi-Fi, the cell phones, and all that kind of thing. And honestly, our grandparents or great-grandparents, they had a lot of energy. They never, it seemed, got tired. So it's very interesting. So the other thing that I use a lot for complaints of lack of get up and go, I use herbal therapies. I love, there are different sorts of mushrooms, not magical mushrooms, but mushrooms that help with getting your energy going, and they're actually fabulous. A lot of my people that really do work out a lot, and I have a lot of clients from gyms and things like that, they love it, they swear by it, they're not going without it. So I use herbals and mushrooms. These are some supplements that can really help support the energy production, and then the adrenals, which the adrenals are little organs that sit on top of the kidney, and that, you think of adrenaline, and yes, they do make adrenaline, and so you get if you do a brake check and you get sort of that thumping and that sort of tingly skin, that's adrenaline. But they also, and probably more importantly, they make cortisol. And cortisol, I tell people, this is your check it off the list and get it done hormone. Got to get the laundry, pick up the kids, do this, all of that stuff. So your cortisol very commonly can get, you're overworked, you've created so much cortisol for so long, you've slept too little, whatever it is, that those adrenals start to get tired. And so we have some support for the adrenals and some things that can support you can almost recycle some of that cortisol. Licorice is a prime example of that. It helps to sort of recycle your cortisol so you don't have to make quite as much. We wouldn't want to use that for a long time, but that's a really good tool when people have just lost any energy. So those are a couple of things that we use. Homeopathics are another one. That's an easy slam dunk, and I use those a lot, usually in concert with some other treatments. One of the things that is really critical, when you are at a critical level, it's critical to really unzip you and unzip that cell and see, hey, what's going on in there in terms of a toxin, an infection, a particle of some leftover infection that's sitting on your energy generator inside the cell. those energy generators are called mitochondria, and you can have what I consider to be a little shrapnel, not only sitting on those mitochondria, but sitting on your DNA, which sounds incredibly creepy, but it's true. And so I have some ways to help and pull off and sort of clean all of that shrapnel off of your energy generators, your DNA, and the cell membranes too, and help repair the cell membranes. Phenomenal. It is one of my very favorite treatments. It's not only an oral protocol, but there's an IV protocol too to help speed things along. It's one of the best things that I've ever implemented in my clinic, and I love it. I swear about it. I even do it myself, because who doesn't need that kind of help these days? So we also have some IVs that are a little bit more sort of, I call it quick and dirty, but when you need a pick-me-up, you're going to have company coming in for the weekend, oh God, what am I going to do? Is you can get some IV therapy, some higher dose vitamin C, some minerals, some glutathione, that kind of thing, and help get you back in gear so you can make it through those tougher weekends or days that you need to get done. The last thing I want to talk about is some mechanical gear that is very good. I've talked about the Beamer mat in some of my other videos, and the Beamer mat is a pulsed electromagnetic field mat. Long story short, it opens up all the microcirculation so that you can detox, you can get your metabolic waste out of those cells and get really good oxygen going into the cells and support that energy production. One of the biggest issues that we don't move around as much as we used to. Even a few thousand years ago, we used to walk sometimes 20, 25 miles in a day barefoot. We barely sometimes even move a mile nowadays. And so it's a very big discrepancy in that, and we don't get to pick up some natural electromagnetic field energy from the earth, and so we sort of reproduce that in clinic, and people even rent these devices to go home, and it's beautiful. So that's one thing. Biofeedback is another beautiful modality to help with energy generation and relaxation, repair, great sleep, the whole thing. So I love biofeedback because it's just so effortless, and people enjoy it and get such a big response very quickly out of it. The last thing, and I'm turning because I have a machine over here that is the one I want to talk about, and it's called NanoV. I love this machine. Again, I try to explain it this way to patients: is when you eat food, when you burn energy, when you train in the gym, anything that you do is going to create free radicals. And especially when you're subjected to all of that cell phone radiation and Wi-Fi radiation, etc., you are going to generate a lot of free radicals. And free radicals cause cell damage, they cause fatigue, all kinds of things. And there are really two different sort of arms of making those free radicals or creating that oxidative stress. And one pattern does create that damage that I'm talking about, but there's another arm or another pathway that it ends up creating a frequency, okay, an electromagnetic frequency that causes repair, causes DNA repair, cell repair, and so on. So when you take an antioxidant, like a vitamin C, for example, or a glutathione, that's great because you're going to go ahead and suppress some of that free radical, or quench some of the free radical production, which is good, but you're going to block both pathways. What my machine does is it sort of has your cake and helps you have your cake and eat it too, in that it only creates that electromagnetic frequency from the good pathway. So it affects a lot of repair, cell repair, DNA, brain, the whole thing, so that you kind of get that benefit without going down the other pathway. And so effects of it can be felt in 10 minutes maybe. I actually just had an employee today that had a massive migraine headache. I know that's a different subject, but it still kind of holds, because within about 10 minutes using this machine where you just inhale this vapor that has that frequency tacked on it, her migraine was almost totally gone, and she was ecstatic. So very cool device. I've got some great equipment that I enjoy using. So for fatigue, we've got tons of things to help to help with that without using chemicals and pharmaceuticals and so forth. So if you like this video and you enjoyed this information, please subscribe to my channel, go to our website at handmadehealth.com, or give us a call at 469-726-2737.